Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're talking about the one and only Turbo. But listen, before we jump into it, I'm bringing back Coinfessions because this is one of the things I actually really liked to do back in the day. Pretty much it is confessions about crypto. And yeah, we're going to go over them. So we're only going to go over one each video. So if you don't like this, you can just skip over a couple seconds. If not, then you can just see what the confession of the day is. Listen, this is the one I picked because look, decided to do crypto seriously. I would use 1/3 of every paycheck to try to make it big in some shit coins. Playing around pretty much $500 per paycheck. I was broke all year and pretty much none of the coins made my money back. Ended up spending $13,000 with more losses than W's. It's better to hold some coins, but I don't know about trading new pairs. Always getting pumped and dumped. Fuck a skill issue. I'm not playing anymore. So, I mean, see, this is the psychology I don't get with people, right? People, they're just not happy with just buying a coin, buying a high probability crypto, getting some type of decent return. I mean, even if you bought Bitcoin around, 17, 20, 25K just 2 years ago, you could have had yourself a nice, I mean, depending on which price range, pretty much it's like 4 to 7x. And for some people, that's still not enough. Like that's still not enough. They need to try to flip. They need to try to get this new high, make these millions. But what they don't realize is that it's like honestly so hard to do that. It really, really, really is. I mean, you'll hear of the stories of, oh yeah, this person turned this much into a million or this one did this, but you will never hear of the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people that lost money. Okay, it is just an illusion. That's why I don't understand why people just don't accumulate in a high probability meme coin, in some AI coins, some other types of coins, get a nice 5x, 10x, 15, 20x, even potentially, right? And just call it a day. No, but people need to catch the next thing before it's the next thing. So honestly, common L to the classic person that does this, right? Because I know there's a lot of people out there that do this, right? Even if something goes like up 5% a day, they flip it. Or goes down 5% a day and they try to flip it. It's like, dude, you're just better off sometimes doing less. That's just what I noticed. So yeah, that is the confession of the day. Let's jump into Turbo. So we can see, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the yearly chart. Actually, technically a year ago, in the last year, we've only gone up 6%, which obviously is not ideal, right? It is not ideal. We are pretty much back in the same spot where we were a year ago, right? Pretty much in the summers. Yeah, the last summers we were also around this price range. Now this time I do believe we are going to go much higher than this initial pump we had back in September and October that got us to pretty much, it says 770 million market cap here, but it was more like 850 million. And yeah, I do believe we will hit the couple of billions this altcoin season. But we can see on the yearly, ladies and gentlemen, only up 6%. On the monthly, we are down 18%. On the last 7 days, most of that 18% actually came in the last day or so, going down 12%. Or sorry, in that monthly, it's pretty much in the last week is where we really went down. In the last day, we are up actually 3.5%, which is actually going to be very, very crucial and critical because we know the August candle is really, really important in terms of its closing. We can see, ladies and gentlemen, we are ranked 167 out of the 9,000, 503 cryptos. We can see 270 million market cap, roughly 20 million volume. And when we go and look at how many holders there are, we can see we've just been kind of flatlining, right? Going up one, going down a couple, going up a couple. So nothing too crazy, right? Just flatlining. We can see when we go to the chart, right? Pretty much we talked about it. People were not happy with the title. People were upset about what I was saying, that it's going to go down. Well, technical analysis doesn't lie, right? I'm just going to keep it blunt. I'm not here to push an agenda. I'm not always going to be like pump, pump, pump. If something's going to go down, I'm going to say it's going to go down. I mean, that's just part of crypto, and it's also part of the YouTube game. That's just is what it is, right? Like, we're not going to sugarcoat stuff. I don't believe in FUD. I don't believe in FUD. If you believe in FUD, that means you must believe in the opposite. If you think a negative comment is going to have a negative impact on the market, why don't all the good comments about crypto, about Turbo, about any other coin, why doesn't it pump the market? Right? You just have to think logically here. A comment, a certain title is not going to make the difference on the market. You understand? It is never going to make the difference in the market, because if that were the case, that means everyone that's always super positive about a certain crypto would be pumping the markets, but that's not how it works. That is not how it works. That's never how it's going to work. Okay. Maybe if we're talking about the smallest of coins at like 20,000 market cap, sure. But something like this, something like a Titan like Turbo, it makes no difference. It literally makes no difference. We don't control the markets. Okay. There's millions and millions of volume each day printing these types of candles. We don't control the markets. Listen, right? So we call the reversal. Ever since then, we've just been selling off. We can see Turbo has been following, technical analysis to the T in terms of pure support and resistance, right? Very, very, very nice. And yeah, I will say though, I am starting to see a little bit of sideways movement. Now we are still trending down. Generally, we are still kind of just going downwards. Boom, we can see we are in this very, very narrow trend. Clear as day, it's just kind of selling. But I do believe there's going to be some type of reversals happening sooner than later. We can see when we go on the daily, right? There's still zero confirmation, but I've noticed, a few times already around, let's just say the 0.004 zone, right? We've gone sideways a little bit. We've gone sideways a little bit. Again, even though despite, we're kind of, going up and down, we have gone sideways in generally the last few days. So for me, it's slowing down. For me, it is slowing down, and it probably is going to slow down around the 0.0037. I would not be surprised if even the start of September, we see some type of manipulation. We know, ladies and gentlemen, that is very, very important to close above the 0.0036, right? Because if we close above the 0.0036, that means we created a higher low in terms of the monthly. So that is very, very good. Okay, despite us not being able to push price higher multiple times for multiple months, right? 1, 2, 3, even 4 months, right? 4 months of struggling, the floor is consistently rising. So the demand is going higher, right? Consistently, the demand is going higher. We're just not able to push past a certain zone. But I do believe pretty much in September, we should be pumping. Now, that is just a guess. That is just a guess, right? At the end of the day, there's still no technical analysis to confirm that. But, just because the fact that we are running out of time, right? When we go to something like the monthly, we can see that it's clear as day that we are, boom, we have a roof over here, and then we have consistent floors, right? 1 floor, 2 floor, and another floor. So we literally have only this amount of space. We have between 0.0039 and pretty much 0.0044, to print some type of price action in September. Like, no, I do think the explosions are going to come out soon. I just wouldn't be surprised if, some of this gets swept right over here, because we do have a very narrow trend also on the monthly. So, something like September, taking out some of these lows and then reversing would probably be the most common thing that I can think of that would happen. But of course, this is just speculation. This is not confirmation, because I am not a wizard. Like I said, I only look at the technical analysis. And like I said, as of right now, zero confirmation of us reversing. But we're not going to do that, like I said, until most likely we see some type of little September manipulation. And once we start getting a break past certain zones, that is when we are going to start officially flipping. Because like I said, as of right now, everything is just, in terms of pure fundamentals, we are just consistently creating lower and lower highs, right? We do have kind of a double bottom. So a little bit of momentum slowing down, but overall, we have been trending down. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.